Hi everyone, and welcome to Model's Approach to Unified Endpoint Management. This is our Level 5 video on management infrastructure. For the agenda for this topic, we'll walk through the introductions, we'll go through what is Unified Endpoint Management, we'll review the maturity model, phases and categories, and then we'll talk specifically about the management infrastructure Level 5 and what is contained within it. The UEM maturity model. So we developed this maturity model last year to really gauge where customers are at within the maturity of how it relates to their endpoint devices. And so these phases are nothing new. There's an initial phase, repeatable, defined, managed, and efficient. So everything from starting to recognize a need for endpoint management all the way to containing a single platform, managing configuration, pre and post provisioning, a bunch of integrated processes, and really driving your decisions based on analytics. So there's kind of everything in between. The maturity model phases pertain to 5 categories that we have defined within the endpoint management realm. So management infrastructure, which is what we're going to talk about today, configuration management, updates and servicing management, application management, and endpoint security. Now, each one of these have a level 5 video already, so if you haven't watched them, go ahead and check out our site to learn more. This is an example of the type of output you would get from engaging with us on a maturity model assessment. We would rate your different categories by what level they are contained in maturity, and from that, we would give you a prioritized list of where to start to mature the certain area, all the different areas. So let's get into management infrastructure level 5. So defining it, all endpoints are joined to a central directory and are accessed using directory managed credentials. This might seem like an over-obvious topic. However, when you start thinking about your organization and all the different elements that come within it, ensuring that all credentials are managed in the directory and that all devices are managed from a directory, including mobile devices, is important to be that level 5 maturity. That single centralized platform that includes those mobile devices, you're able to contact and manage endpoints connected to any network that has internet connectivity. So in some cases, you might rely on a VPN to manage devices, which in this case, you would not be a level 5 management infrastructure. In this instance, anytime you've got internet connectivity of the most basic variety, you're able to manage those endpoints and get asset inventory information updated. And then hardware and software asset tracking is enabled, and it's updated regularly for all those endpoints. This allows centralized reporting of the state along with automated alerts for proactive management. That is an important component of the level 5 maturity model as it pertains to management infrastructure. And finally, we have processes. These processes are established and followed on a continual review to ensure that new features and functionality are in kind of production use. So the central directory. So this is where all your users and groups and devices would live, and this would take into account your total population. As opposed to saying, well, we've got most of our devices under management, but there's a handful that use local credentials, or there's, this set of grouping of machines does this one thing, we don't have them on the directory. Unless there's a technical, maybe unsupported reason why these devices cannot join the directory, being a maturity level 5 in management infrastructure would have all of your elements in a directory. Up-to-date asset inventory and managed and updated from any kind of internet connection. Here's a great example of a dashboard you would see. So you'd see your number of stale devices, number of non-compliant devices, your number of unmanaged devices, your total number of devices on a very quick dashboard. So this is a view from something like Azure Active Directory. And then you take that same tool set and you bounce over into Endpoint Manager, or what was formerly Intune, the work from anywhere component. You can see what your score would be out of 100, right? So whether you're lacking in provisioning, management, identity, or your Windows device is just not capable of being able to work from anywhere, this is another kind of glimpse into those analytics that you would have. And then again, to stay in theme of updating from any internet connection, using something like auto patch and looking at the results of the last test group that you ran in this case. So the devices that are up to date, the ones that are in progress, the ones that are ineligible, Those total devices, whether or not they're on your network or they've checked in or somebody's working from Florida, is a great example of using the tool set on a level 5 maturity. And finally, those established processes. So this looks a little bit like an eye chart, but I'll take you through it. The established processes, and this is reassessed and ongoing as time goes on, but something like self-service account management. Well, the process there is go to myaccount.microsoft.com. And there you'll see security info, password info, settings and privacy, the organizations you belong to, your sign-ins, your devices, a whole bunch of different things that you can do and interact with. And so anytime a user would call, maybe you put out a memo to the organization saying that here's how you manage your user account on your own would be myaccount.microsoft.com. Moving on to the center column there, the managed applications, whether you go to myapps.microsoft.com because you're using an SSO configuration from your tenant, or you're deploying the application through Endpoint Manager through an automated deployment, or the user is going to request a self-service deployment from the company portal, you have a process that's established and being reviewed frequently for those. And then finally, provisioning and deprovisioning. And again, these are just example processes. These are not all of the processes. Just trying to give you an idea of what a level 5 of maturity would look like in a management infrastructure when it pertains to processes. So provisioning and deprovisioning, maybe you're using autopilot. Maybe there's a scenario to wipe and retire when a machine's done, or there's a scenario to wipe and repurpose when a machine is done. Either way, those all have well-defined and documented processes. If you're interested in getting your information assessed or your environment assessed, we'll conduct that assessment. It's 2 90-minute sessions that we'll lead. The first one is to gather a lot of the information. We'll take it offline. We'll prepare the reports. And the second session is to present those reports and those findings with prioritized recommendations back to you, what you can do for your organization. The value for that is $3,000. And if you want to get in touch with me, my email is up on the screen, jason.rutherford@model-technology.com, or you can find us at https:/model-technology.com. Thanks.